At Advance Auto Parts, we're ready with answers.
Every wheel on every vehicle spins around thanks to smaller wheel bearings. And these wheel bearings contain rollers within a cage that support the vehicle's load on the axles. And over time, these bearings are going to wear out and need to be replaced.
Project: front wheel bearings. Difficulty guide: average. Estimated time required: up to 4 hours. Estimated cost savings: up to $500.
For this project, all you're going to need is the wheel bearing grease, the Haynes manual, some PB blaster and brake parts cleaner, basic hand tools, some shop rags, gloves, a lug wrench, and a jack and jack stands. For complete details on this project, ask an Advance Auto Parts team member for assistance. To replace the front wheel bearing, the first thing we'll do is jack up the vehicle and be sure it's on sturdy jack stands and remove the wheel. The next step is to remove the protective cap from the axle, and you can use a small screwdriver or a chisel to do that. Wipe the excess grease from the end of the axle and remove the cotter pin. Next, make sure the axle nut is loose. You should be able to move it quite easily. If for some reason you can't, you can use your lug wrench as leverage and loosen it up. Next, remove the brake caliper's mounting bolts and remove the caliper from the rotor. And then, using a bungee cord, hang the caliper out of the way, and a bungee cord will keep the brake line from being damaged. Now, remove the nut, pop the bearing loose, and remove the rotor. Remove the rear bearing from the rotor and wipe out the excess grease. If you don't want to take your hub to a machine shop to have the bearings race removed, you can use a chisel or a punch to do it yourself. Repeat the procedure for the rear bearing and the grease seal. To place the new race into the hub, use a plastic hammer or a rubber hammer or even a block of wood and a regular hammer to seat it into place. Using a suitable size socket or a piece of pipe, seat the race into the bottom of the hub. After seating the front race, repeat the procedure for the rear race and grease seal. Repack the bearings by putting wheel bearing grease into the palm of your hand and then pressing the rollers of the bearing into the grease, and press hard so that the grease goes all the way through to the inside of the bearing. Then we can reinstall the bearing onto the axle. Be sure the rotor is nice and clean on both sides, and you can use a brake parts cleaner to do the job. And finally, to finish up, reinstall all the parts in the reverse order. And so to recap, the project is average, can take up to 4 hours to do, but you can save up to $500. And remember, at Advance Auto Parts you can get all the items you need to replace your wheel bearings. If you have any questions, ask any team member at Advance Auto Parts.
At Advance Auto Parts, we're ready with answers.